Anthropic just ripped the crown back from OpenAI. Claude Opus 4.7 dropped this week, and according to every major benchmark that matters, it has narrowly retaken the top spot as the most powerful generally available large language model on the planet. Not by a landslide, but in the AI race, a narrow lead is still a lead, and Anthropic is making sure everyone knows it. This is not a quiet release. This is a direct shot across OpenAI's bow, and the timing could not be more calculated. The model benchmarks higher on reasoning, coding, and nuanced instruction following than anything currently available to the public. We are talking about a model that reportedly handles complex multi-step reasoning chains with a level of coherence that previous Claude versions simply could not sustain. Developers who got early access are saying this thing does not just answer questions, it thinks through problems in a way that feels genuinely different. Now here is why this matters beyond the benchmark wars. Anthropic has been quietly positioning itself as the safety-first, enterprise-first alternative to OpenAI for the past 2 years. But safety without capability is a hard sell when your competitor keeps shipping faster. Claude Opus 4.7 changes that narrative entirely. Anthropic can now say, without qualification, that they are both the safest and the most capable. That is a powerful position to hold going into the second half of 2026, and the business implications are enormous. Enterprise contracts, API deals, government partnerships, every single one of those conversations just got easier for Anthropic's sales team. This is not just a model launch. This is a market positioning event. If you have been sleeping on Anthropic, this week just woke you up. Most people were so distracted by the Claude Opus 4.7 announcement that they completely missed what NVIDIA quietly dropped on April 15th. And honestly, that might be the bigger story. NVIDIA launched the world's first open-source quantum AI model, and they are calling it Ising. Let that sink in for a second. A quantum AI model, open source, from NVIDIA. The company that already dominates classical AI compute just opened a new front in a completely different dimension of computation, and most of the mainstream tech press barely blinked. Here is what Ising actually is. It is a model designed to leverage quantum computing principles, specifically the Ising machine framework, which is a physics-based approach to solving optimization problems that classical computers struggle with. Think of problems like route optimization, drug discovery molecular simulations, financial portfolio balancing at massive scale. These are problems where quantum approaches do not just improve performance, they fundamentally change what is solvable. NVIDIA releasing this as open source is a strategic masterstroke. They are not just selling GPUs anymore. They are planting their flag in the quantum era before most companies have even figured out what quantum AI actually means in practice. By making Ising open source, NVIDIA gets thousands of researchers and developers building on their framework, generating data, finding use cases, and creating an ecosystem dependency long before quantum hardware becomes mainstream. It is the same playbook they ran with CUDA 15 years ago, and that bet turned them into the most valuable chip company in history. Now here is the conspiratorial layer that nobody is talking about. NVIDIA's move into open-source quantum AI does something very specific. It makes them relevant in a future where the GPU might not be the primary compute substrate. If quantum hardware eventually outperforms classical silicon for certain AI workloads, NVIDIA wants to already own the software layer of that transition. They are hedging their own dominance. That is either genius-level strategic thinking or a sign that Jensen Huang knows something about the quantum timeline that the rest of us do not. The model is available right now on NVIDIA's developer platform. If you work in research, optimization, or enterprise AI infrastructure, Ising deserves your attention this week, because in 5 years, you will wish you had looked at it earlier. Let us talk money, power, and the business moves reshaping the entire AI industry this week, because there were several, and they all point in the same direction. First, Cursor. The AI coding startup founded by 4 MIT students, Michael Truel, Juel Asif, Arvid Lunemark, and Ammon Sanger, is reportedly seeking $2 billion in new funding. $2 billion. For a coding assistant. That number would have been unthinkable 3 years ago, but in the current AI landscape, it is actually defensible. Cursor has quietly become the tool that professional developers refuse to give up. Unlike a lot of AI tools that get trialed and forgotten, Cursor has sticky daily active usage, and enterprise adoption is accelerating fast. A $2 billion raise at this stage signals that investors believe Cursor is not just a productivity tool, it is critical developer infrastructure for the next decade. Watch this one closely, because if that round closes, it reshapes the entire AI coding category. Second story, and this one has geopolitical weight, the United Kingdom officially launched its $675 million sovereign AI fund this week. This is the UK government putting real money into domestic AI startups, explicitly to reduce dependency on American and Chinese AI ecosystems. The message from Westminster is clear. The UK wants homegrown AI capability, and they are willing to back it with public capital. This is part of a broader global trend of nations treating AI infrastructure the same way they treat defense or energy, as a matter of national security. For European and UK founders, this is a significant unlock. Government venture money with a sovereignty mandate is patient capital that does not demand the same return timelines as Sand Hill Road. Expect a wave of UK AI startups to emerge from this fund over the next 18 months. Third, and this is the story that keeps getting more dramatic every week, Maine became the first U.S. state to legally pause new large data center construction for 18 months. The legislation directly targets the AI industry's explosive energy consumption and the rising utility costs it is driving for ordinary residents. This is the first domino. If Maine's pause holds up legally and politically, expect other states to follow. The AI industry has been largely insulated from regulatory friction at the infrastructure level, but that era may be ending. Data center construction has been one of the biggest spending categories in tech for the past 2 years. Oracle, CoreWeave, Microsoft, Amazon have all committed hundreds of billions to new facilities. A wave of state-level construction moratoria would fundamentally stress-test those capital deployment plans. The stakes here are not just regulatory. They are existential for the AI scaling roadmap. The tool this week is Emergent, a vibe coding platform that just launched its own AI agent, and it is gunning directly for the biggest players in autonomous coding assistance. Here's the one-sentence pitch. Emergent lets you build fully functional web apps by describing what you want in plain English, and its new agent handles the entire build loop autonomously, from first line of code to deployed product, without you writing a single line of syntax. The concrete use case that is blowing people's minds right now, imagine you are a non-technical founder. You have a SaaS idea. You open Emergent, you describe your product in a few sentences, and the agent scaffolds the full application, writes the backend logic, sets up the database schema, and gives you a working prototype you can actually click through. No developer needed. No waiting. No Fiverr. The new agent mode specifically is what separates this from earlier vibe coding tools. Previous platforms would generate code and then stop, leaving you to figure out the debugging loop. Emergent's agent keeps going, it identifies errors, rewrites problematic sections, and iterates until the build actually functions. That persistence is the game changer. For indie hackers, early-stage founders, and product managers who want a prototype without engineering resources, Emergent is the most dangerous tool released this week. It is free to start. Go to Emergent's platform, describe your idea, and watch an AI agent build it in real time. The gap between having an idea and having a product just collapsed to about 20 minutes. If you thought this was wild, you need to see what Anthropic dropped last week. The video is on your screen right now.